Some questions?
Yes, a question online from Ofir Yavits. I can't right now surrender to Krishna. I'm at this time fallen and filled with vices. What can I do? Can I help in supporting devotees? What hope do I have? Can you please give me some mercy?
Well, it sounds like you're a fit candidate for the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. You're in a good position. As Guru Maharaj sometimes say, silver may not feel so much necessity to become gold, but iron will feel it more. So, Srila Guru Maharaj promotes the culture of negativity, and this is something that is very often misunderstood in the modern world because of humanism, New Age philosophies, with all this emphasis on so-called being positive. Right? So you have to stop beating yourself up and have high self-esteem and be assertive to the point of being aggressive. Just do it, go for it because you're worth it. So think positive. Someone even wrote a book, The Power of Positive Thinking. But it's basically part of the canon of humanistic sloganeering. Right? Establishing yourself as some sort of absolute center, trying to expand the circumference of your exploiting tendency from there. Right? As opposed to the culture of negativity, which Srila Guru Maharaj equates with humility. Doinya atmani vedan goptitve varan. Doinya, hopelessness, helplessness. This is a realistic assessment of ourselves and our present situation. So, in Gita, Krishna says, Chatur vidha bhajante mam jana sukriti no jana arto jigyasa artarti gyani cha bharatar shabha. 4 types of people with some sukriti. They take shelter of Krishna. And then types are mentioned, circumstances. Arto, they are in need of economic development. Jigyasur, the inquisitor, arto, jigyasur, artarti, those who are distressed. Gyani chabharatar. In one of his purports, Srila Prabhupada says, and I'm paraphrasing, he's saying basically that when you realize that life is a never-ending series of humiliation, it behooves such a person to approach a spiritual master, the Vaishnava, and take shelter there. So it's a realistic assessment of being inextricably surrounded by karmic circumstances that we've generated. So much so, from a devotional point of view, the advanced devotees, they prefer adverse circumstances because that will have a tendency to goad one, to push one in the direction of perceiving the necessity of surrender and taking shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Kunti Devi, in her prayers, Janmai Swarja Shruta Sri Bireda Manamudak Puman, Naivarha Tabidatumbai, Twam Akinchana Gocharam. You see, these 4 material assets may distract one from spiritual culture. Janma means good birth, high birth. Janma, Aiswarja, opulence, wealth, janmaisvarja, shruta, education, Sri, beauty. So, although these are generally considered material assets and desirable, she's saying they may not be so desirable because when one is born in a good situation, wealthy, inherited wealth, highly educated. Like once some students were visiting Srila Guru Maharaj. One was from like San Francisco State or in, some school in San Francisco. It was a lady, you know. And, or other people, there was other people. But, Guru Maharaj said, what subject are you studying, like majoring in? She said, philosophy. And Guru Maharaj said, oh, diving deep into ignorance. Not satisfied with, you know, what do they call them? The survey course, where you learn a little bit about this, that, and the other thing. Diving deep into ignorance. A PhD in ignorance. Not satisfied with just generic off-the-shelf ignorance. Got to go deep into it. So generally speaking, it's hard to approach such persons because on account of the arrogance of their accumulated mundane knowledge, they're not open to spiritual truth. Of course, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he has an interesting strategy. Dante nidaya trinakam parayor nipatya kritva chakaku ahang etad satam vrinimi he sarava sakala eva vihaya durad chaitanya chandra charane kurutana ragan. He's saying, approaching very humbly, my dear sir, you are so learned, so exalted, a dignified person in society, generous in every way, and so I have one request from you, and I'm sure in consideration of your exalted, generous nature, you will grant that request. Oh, then, yes, what is that request? Forget everything you know, and kindly turn your attention to the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. See, that is my only request. Forget everything you know, everything you think you know. That which by knowing keeps you isolated in ignorance. It's, from Kunti's perspective, a potential disqualification. So she's saying, people who have the luxury of mundane assets, Janma, Aisvarja, Shruta, and Sri, they find it difficult to approach you. What is Christ? One of the famous sayings attributed to him, that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven. Something like that. Yeah. Same principle. So, what is Kunti saying? Tvam akinchana gocharam. But the akinchan, and that can be described in various ways. Prabhupada put it very nicely. He said, the materially exhausted, those who have exhausted all material possibilities, they've tried everything. It's not they haven't tried. Or put energy into it. They've expended so much energy. Like in the Madhavendra Puri, so kamadina katita palita durni deshas. What is it? No tripa, no prashanti. He said, I've been the most obedient servant of my lust, anger, greed, of my desires, my sense. I've served them so, attentively and fully and non-stop for so long, and they won't give me a break. So, and and I have not achieved happiness. Of course, material science, technology, they're always telling you, happiness is right around the corner. It's in the next update, a couple years from now, wait until you see what happens in the future. The futurists. This has been going on for over 100 years since the advent of the Industrial Revolution. Then you had a series of writers who are sometimes described as futurists. H.G. Wells was one of them. And who wrote some interesting things, no doubt. But E.M. Forster objected to all this rosy future talk. Like the poet says, trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present. Heart within and God overhead. So he thought, this idea that everything's just going to be wonderful in the future, this is around the end of the 19th century, actually. He objected to that. He normally wrote other like romantic stories and things, The Passage to India, other things. But here, he was annoyed by all of this rosy, futuristic propaganda. So he wrote one story called The Machine Stops. And it's interesting. And remember, this is at the end of the 19th century, maybe the beginning. And he's saying, it's a like novella, long short story. And in this world, everything's controlled by this one machine. And you live in little cubicles underground. And the music's just right, and the aroma is just right. Everything's just fine. A son visits his mother to express his interest in going above ground. But while there, the music starts whirring, and the aroma's not so sweet anymore, and the lights, there's problems, and it's not Chiang Mai, but Chiang Mai-esque. And so, and long story short, well, it's a long short story. Anyway, the machine stops. That was his point. What will you do when the machine stops? And all this perfect climate, environment that you created with your technology, it's not there. What will you do at that moment? And it's interesting what he wrote. So those who are materially exhausted, it means they've stopped searching for inner fulfillment in the external world, in the objective world. And they've concluded that it can only be achieved in the internal, subjective world. Twam akinchana gocharam. So Kundi's saying, those who are materially exhausted, actually, they find it more easy to approach you. And then she takes it a step further, saying, Vipadak shantitak shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhavadarshanam. So she's saying, actually, when I reflect on my life, it seems when everything is going very well, then there's a tendency to be forgetful of Krishna, or Guru, Vaishnava, Seva, devotional, because everything's going well, right? Materially. It's a tendency to become distracted by that. And Jiva Goswami and elsewhere mentions that the outcome of good karma, for shorthand, is, what is it? Ashnanti Dibyan Dividevi Bhogan, heavenly enjoyment. Mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. But it says, Kine Punye Marcha Lokam Vishal. But when you run out of your pious credits there, you come down again. But so he's saying, the end result of pious accumulation is entrance in the heavenly planets that are full of so much enjoyment that it's not a desirable position for spiritual culture. Saying, and then there's the consequence of very horrendous karmic activities that go very deep and the lower species and like undesirable. Saying, but the middle position of the human being, saying that's the best position to be in, where you have sort of a balance of enjoyment and suffering. It's already baked into the karmic circumstances on the basis of past performance, and it's being updated in real time by the choices that we make. But the Bhagavatam again says, Tasyeva hetu prayate tu kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada. Since that's already a given, that you're going to experience a certain amount of happiness, a certain amount of suffering in this life on the basis of your karma, and it can be modified somewhat by the relative choices that you make. Why waste your time on that? Saying, better to spend your energy on trying for that thing that you can't, that's not available. Brahmatam uparida means wandering the length and breadth of the universe. What is that? Mahaprabhu says, the Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Those incredibly fortunate souls wandering, suffering, enjoying the reactions of their karma. Fortunate souls come in contact with Krishna's agent. Samsaresmin, samsara, the world. Samsaresmin karnadopi satsanga sevadirninam. Here, sevadir means treasure. Saying, in this samsara world, the most valuable treasure is to get the association of the devotees of Krishna. And we find them more appreciable when we're coming from an acknowledged hopeless, helpless circumstance. And Kunti says, but what I do find, upon reflecting on my life's activities and with the Pandavas and all of our pastimes, is when I'm in the greatest adversity, then I'm very Krishna conscious. I'm thinking exclusively of Krishna. I'm praying to Krishna in the most earnest way when the circumstances are most adverse. And then, so she makes a peculiar conclusion, saying, so I think adversity is better for me than those other good things. And we can say, well, we're not like that. We're not going to like, boy, I really hope things go wrong for you. And me too, if I'm lucky. No, it's not like that. I mean, she's Queen Kunti. She's an extraordinary person. But see, just to know that there's someone who can think such things and express them from her heart, and it's real, it's not opposing, is amazing and worshipable. I think, oh, that's a real devotee. She's thinking anything that interferes with my remembrance of Krishna is undesirable, however apparently desirable it might be from a material point of view. So Srila Guru Maharaj says, as an overview, that so the desirable for the position for the devotee to be in is one of negativity. Right? The culture of negativity, which he equates with humility. Now, what does that mean? Because there's stereotypical humility, a particular posture and way of speaking, but Jiva Goswami is not showing that kind of humility. Neither is Vrindavan Das Thakur, and they are humble. So there's more than the appearance of humility. So in principle, what we understand, as Guru Maharaj is saying, that, well, I say these words on the basis of what I've heard from him, is that humility is realized in relation to the proximity of greatness. He gave examples. When we acknowledge, we realize we're in the proximity of greatness, and particularly infinite greatness. Two examples he gave. One, when you're standing on the shore of an ocean, right, and you're thinking, and we've done it, wow, the ocean is so vast, and we're so small. Automatically, those feelings descend. Or we look in the sky, or now you can look at the sky through the Hubble telescope, and that's floating through outer space, and you see they show pictures of other galaxies, and then sometimes they show you the size of the Earth in relation to all these other stars and galaxies, and you think, wow, it's so tiny and insignificant. Automatically these feelings descend. So what we understand in principle is humility is the natural outcome of the proximity to greatness. That's the principle. So what to speak of infinite greatness, the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord in his most accessible form through the association of devotees. So automatically these feelings will descend, and that will inspire the heart of the devotee to offer themselves in service. I mean, for the self-offering to be meaningful, there has to be service. Otherwise, they may just be flowery words. But lest anyone thinks that, and to add to that, Guru Maharaj is saying, so what does negativity do? It attracts the positive. Arrogant self-assertion, pratishta, that's repulsive to Krishna. Right? But the culture of negativity, to be in want, to feel earnestly some need, some necessity, that attracts Krishna. Krishna being the positive, here negativity is a good thing. Right? We can't have stereotypical thinking, just, positive good, negative bad. Sometimes in some scenarios, but not in this one. And this one, the positive is Krishna, and the negative position is that of the devotee. Sometimes Guru Maharaj describes Krishna as the supreme positive, Radharani, supreme negative. We know from an unbiased scientific point of view, negativity has its value. Like, how are all these electrical instruments working, right? There's positive and negative. We learn these things when we're a child. You don't have to be like, an electrician or a physicist. Right? But we understand something about positive and negative, how they work together to produce something very powerful. So it's a very sensible way to think, actually. And to underscore this point, I like to mention, once I was in, where's the place where Malini is from? No, Malini, Russia. Novosibirsk. Yes, okay. What does that mean? Like New Siberia? Or something like that, right? Anyway, I was there, and in the wintertime. So it was like, really, it was like minus 30 or something. That was interesting to me. And every day I'd be chanting japa in the afternoon and look out the window, and there's like, everything's white, like Svetadweep. And they say, where's Svetadweep located? In Russia. Everything's, and beautiful white. That type of, where just the trees are white, the ground, everything you see is white. And I was thinking about this, and the concept of superconductors. Because generally people will think, well, negative, that's not a good thing, don't beat yourself up. You can't have low self-esteem if you're going to be a success in the world, all of that kind of thing. And I think, well, how to show the power of negativity? Through superconductors. And I'm not a scientist, but this is just, a simple reference. When you take certain ceramics and bring them toward absolute zero, which is about minus 350 degrees. We're in minus 30, minus 350. Right? They achieve a state called superconductivity. They become superconductors of current. So, as I thought about it, I thought, why? Because, like, when we have the copper wire or something, we're touching the heart, it's warm, right? There's heat, we're told it's resistance. It's expelling the heat because there's resistance to some resistance to the current. It's like Ohm's law, not OM, but OHM. Resistance to the current, and it's generating heat and that kind of thing. And when the ceramic goes to minus almost absolute zero, it achieves a state of superconductivity, means now there's zero resistance to the current. So it becomes a superconductor. So if you're following this, that devotee, through the culture of humility, like Kaviraj Goswami, Jagai Madhai Hoite, Murise Papishta, Purisharakita Hoite Murise Lagishta. Extreme negativity. But he becomes the superconductor through which the Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam passes. Right? When Guru Maharaj says, Swami Maharaj wholly emptied himself of any other desire than the desire to fulfill the order of Saraswati Thakur, in line with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Mahaprabhu. That means zero resistance. Sometimes, and what type of humility? Humility that's approaching absolute zero. That level of negativity. If we're following Guru Maharaj's example about negativity, then what would happen when you achieve absolute zero? Superconductivity. Like we were hearing the other day, certain devotees of Mahaprabhu, there's the Avirbhav, where he appears, where like Nityananda's dancing, Sachi Mata's cooking, Raghava Pandit, and a fourth, I forget. Maybe Nrsingananda. There's different ones. But, well, he's another example. He's an example of the Avesh, I believe. No, yeah, that's Nrsingananda, becomes Pradyumna, yeah. He was Pradyumna Brahmachari, then Nrsingananda. Mahaprabhu actually, his heart is wholly emptied. So to what degree? Mahaprabhu himself appears there and resides there. This is inconceivable. Right? Because the Lord lives in the heart of his devotees. He also lives in the house of his devotees. But here, it's not in some like paramatmic sense that he's in the heart, or through Avesh, he's actually there. So through this is not the result of low self-esteem, right? But this type of negativity is the automatic outcome of their depth of penetration into the positive. They have so much appreciation that so low they conceive themselves. That's what it is. Okay. It's we measure depth, Vaishnavata, and penetration in the Krishna conception in the inverse, to the degree that they're expressing want or being without. Again, Prabodhananda, vanchitosmi, vanchitosmi, vanchitosmi na sankshaya. Vishva Gauru se magnam sparshopi mamana bhavat. He's saying, vanchita, vanchita, I've been cheated, I've been cheated, I've been cheated. Of this there is no doubt. Saying, Gauranga Vishva Gauru se magnam, Mahaprabhu inundated the world in a flood of Krishna Prem. Like Hari Charan Prabhu always, Ek Bindu Jagat Dubai. That would always appear in his talks toward the end. Saying, so Mahaprabhu flooded the world with Krishna Prem, and I wasn't touched by a drop. But Guru Maharaj said, we can't believe this. It's Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. Saying, so what we will say is, oh, he possesses such an appetite that a flood is like a drop, is not enough. That's how we can't believe Prabodhananda Saraswati when he says that. But that's his feeling, his expression. And Radharani herself makes such expressions. And Rupa Goswami in praise of Srimati Radharani, Hari Pada Nakakoti Prishta Parjanta Simha Ta Tamapi Kalayantam Harnaya Bistadam Pramudita Madhuri Vaidagdidika Guru Kirtim Radhika Marchayami. Anyway, Hari Padanaka Koti Prishta Parjanta Simha is the part I want to address. Saying, what is her conception? This is how you measure. She says, like we always hear, the lotus feet of Krishna, of Sri Guru, the Vaishnava, lotus feet. Right? And although it can mean many things, one of the things it means is we're approaching the least aspect. Right? The feet will be taken to be the least aspect. That's the proper approach. And back to Kunti, just to show how supremely intelligent he is. He has a verse where she says, Namak pankajanabhaya, namak pankajamaline, namak pankajanetraya, namaste pankajangrahe. You should offer obeisances to the lotus feet first, but she knows she's a queen and she's socially superior to Krishna. And she doesn't want to embarrass him, but she wants to give a heartfelt prayer. So she says, Namak pankajanabhaya. Pankaja is a word for lotus. So she's saying, I offer my obeisances to your lotus navel, which is an allusion to, like, out of that lotus navel comes, Brahma comes from Garbhodakshaya. It's high praise. I offer Namak Pankajanabhaya, Namak Pankajamaline, and you're wearing a garland of lotuses. I give them my obeisances. Namak Pankajanetraya, and your lotus eyes are so beautiful. I'm giving my obeisances to your lotus eyes. And then at last she says, Namaste Pankajangriye, and I'm giving my obeisances to your lotus feet. And that way, she has actually transgressed one type of etiquette in favor of another. She doesn't want to embarrass Krishna because this is a Prakriti Leela. So she starts that way and concludes with the lotus feet. But normally we begin there. One way or another, we're going to get there. So why? Because they're the least aspect. That's the appropriate way to make approach. Ayi nanda tanundra kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budho kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli sadrisham vichintaya. Mahaprabhu's prayer, Shikshastakam. I'm Krishna Kinkar, I'm your eternal servant. Somehow I've fallen in this bhava sindhu, not the Bhakti Rasamrita sindhu. The bhava sindhu, the ocean of ignorance, nescience. Please save me and fix me as one of the atoms of dust at your holy lotus feet. So it's a way of making that's the proper approach, the least entrance. Gurudev would sometimes put that song, the Ma Kali song, where the devotees would say, oh, mother, give me a place in the back of your temple, like in the corner, way in the back. And when the arati is going, I'll be back. I won't create any disturbance. See, that's the proper way, is to be in a remote position. But here, Rupa Goswami is praising Srimati Radharani, so it's going to get to the extremes. Hari Padanaka. So the lowest part of is the lotus feet. But what's if you had to go further in that conception there? What would be the least part of the feet? Would be the nails, right? That would be the least part. So she's saying, Hari Pada means the lotus feet of Hari. Hari Padanaka. That's what it is. So she's saying, Hari Padanaka Prishte. Hari Padanaka Prishte. Kalayantim. She's saying, I consider, or Rupa Goswami is saying, she considers pranera bhishtadoham. She considers the least aspect of Krishna to be more valuable than the highest aspect of herself, pran, that means your life, multiplied millions of times. So you're saying, if you multiply my life millions of times, it's not equal to the nails on your holy lotus feet. That betrays her vision of how beautiful and loving and wonderful is Krishna. You are so wonderful that my own life multiplied millions of times is not that valuable. So always through inversion, if thematically, consistently, we see this connecting thread and all these different prayers that I've mentioned. So if a devotee is genuinely feeling themselves as fallen, in want, in need, they're in the best position to receive some grace. Also, we hear the great devotee saying, praying to the higher, that if you want to test the purifying capacity of your mercy, your grace, I don't think there's a more fit subject than myself, because others are not so fallen. So if you really want to test it, you should test it on me. So, and that's a very appealing prayer, and it's very realistic at the same time. We don't think of them that way, but it is a realistic approach for us. Once, Srila Gurudev said, maybe more than once, he said, there's only two things we're sure of in this world. One is that we are fallen. And two is that Krishna is merciful to the fallen. So I say, these things we know. We're fallen, and Krishna is merciful to the fallen. So that puts us in a good position to receive his mercy and his grace. So, Guru Maharaj would say, according to one's inner sincere hankering for truth, mercy, you can add, that will bring one necessarily in connection with a certain level of theistic concept and subsequent association. So, nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tatagachtati. If we're sincere, that will be reciprocated, must be. Hare Krishna.
A question from Dhananjaya Prabhu and Malini Didi.
There you go. From Novosibirsk or somewhere else. Anyway.
Doesn't say. We hear that the faith of Guru in his disciple is more real than the faith of the disciple in his Guru. Please explain how to understand it properly.
Well, first I should say there's a famous verse Yasya deve parabhakti yatateve tatagaro tashoite katita hyarta prakashante mahatmana. So it's saying the kind of faith you have in Krishna, divinity, if you can have that kind of faith in Vaishnava, in Guru, then everything will be revealed to you. So we find that in the example of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that his relative did not have proper faith in Vaishnava. So when Meenaketan Ram came, the Parshad of Nityananda Prabhu, who should be taken as Nityananda Prabhu himself, he on the plea, oh, I'm worshiping the deity, he ignored him. Guru Maharaj said, what should be done? With the permission of the deity, attend to the Vaishnava. I mean, Krishna, he's all about his devotees. He won't be pleased if in the name of being dutiful to some formality, we neglect the Vaishnava. Is it tasmai deyam tato grajam sa pujo ta yatahyaham? Or Krishna said, they deserve the same treatment as me. So and we're told this is the plight of the third class devotee. They can see they believe in the deity, but they diminish the position of the Vaishnava. They think the Vaishnava is something less. Right? When Guru Maharaj, before joining Gaudiya Math, and he came in the temple, you can say it's like either Gaura Purnima, we'll say Janmashtami, and he's saying, Krishna and the deity, Krishna is within the deity, he's saying to the pujari, but he's setting a trap for him actually. And the man goes, what do you say? The deity, Deha, Dehi, Vivedoyam, Neshware, Vijay, the deity is Krishna directly, not within, is Krishna. I said, oh. And now, upstairs, your Gurudev is there with his intimate servitors, and the Lord is about to appear, like at midnight. But, so, you're saying Krishna is here, but they're all with him. That's why Krishna said, Guru Maharaj asked that question to trap him. And he said, but that man was trained by Saraswati Thakur and Gaudiya Math, and he said, Krishna will be appearing in greater magnitude and accessible in our Gurudev. Saying so, yes, Krishna is here, no doubt, but what is our capacity to appreciate that? That is the situation. He's there in the deity, but we have so many thoughts about that. Right? Arche, Vishnu, Shila, Dear Guru, Shu, Naramati, Vaishnave, Jati Buri. But, so we can understand in principle. But, so Guru Maharaj is saying, really, darshan means to present yourself to the deity, to be seen by the deity. The deity has that seeing capacity. That we can understand. To what degree that we can see the deity as Krishna? There's something wanting in ourselves, in our vision. But, so therefore, we approach the Vaishnava. Krishna is appreciable and more accessible in the Vaishnava. So, this may be a reference to something I said before, which was that sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, they're offering praise, and that is based upon the depth of their spiritual vision to see your reality potential. your servitor identity. They have some capacity to see that. So sometimes Gurudev would say, oh, if you knew how wonderful your future is, your future prospect. He knows who Guru Maharaj is, and the Rupa Nugadara, and where this is going. He's saying, so if you'll be attentive to your duty and your seva at present, such a wonderful destination is there. So they're seeing, in that sense, we can say Swarup, servitor identity and serving potential. What was the question again? Phrase just.
We hear that the faith of Guru in his disciple is more real than the faith of the disciple in his Guru.
Yeah, so we have, just like in the case of same with the Vaishnava, our faith is limited. Okay? But we're with a loving, affectionate guardian who has more faith in us than we have in ourselves. So on two counts, we don't have proper understanding of Guru, we don't have proper understanding of who we are and what our potential is. But if we're in connection with substantial agent, Vaishnava, they have that vision. And if we will just submit ourselves to their guidance, then gradually, by their grace, they can also gift us with appreciation. When I asked Srila Guru Maharaj some questions along a particular line, how we could come to appreciate. It might have been specifically Rathayatra pastimes, but not limited to. And he said, by accumulated sukriti, you acquire the capacity to appreciate these things. But to be more specific, in the association of the Vaishnava and Vaishnava Guru, Sadhu-sanga satovare, by associating with those who are superior, we become upgraded in the process. Right? When we associate with those who are superiorly developed and evolved in faith, it helps grow our faith. So association, superior association, will help evolve the faith of the disciple in Sri Guru. Yes. Anything else?
A question from Vasudev Prabhu.
I'll tell you a story Gurudev told me also, where he said, I believe it was Durvasa approached Vasishtha for some particular spiritual knowledge. And Vasishtha said, oh, that is the specialty of Anantadev. It was either Durvasa or Vishwamitra, one of them, anyway. So he, by his mystic power, he goes to Anantadev. And Anantadev, he's holding all the planets on his head like that. And he says to him, this is giving me a headache, can you help me? He's saying, but I will do, and he said, at least take like a planet or something, And he can't do that, and he's saying, summon all your mystic power. And he can't even hold one planet. So, is that all you got? Any Sadhu-sanga? He said, I met with Vasishtha, it was just for a moment or so. Then use that. And then suddenly he's able to hold planets. Right? And he's like, this is amazing. And then Anantadev says, how can I help you? He said, well, there's this specific spiritual knowledge that I'm interested in. hearing and I've approached you. And Anantadev says, actually, Vasishtha Rishi is the expert for that. And now he sent me, then by his mystic power, he goes back, now he's upset, and he approaches Vasishtha Rishi and said, why didn't you tell? Anantadev says you're the expert in this. Why didn't you instruct me before? And he said, because you had no faith in me. But now that you heard from Anantadev, now you're ready to hear something. Now, with his certificate, you have some faith. But before, you had no faith in me, so I would not give that instruction. But now that you have some faith, I will give that instruction. So sometimes Srila Gurudev himself said, by so much intimate dealing with Guru Maharaj and whatever, he'd be thinking in a particular way, and he said, and Guru Maharaj's godbrothers would come, and they would be hearing from Guru Maharaj and expressing so much appreciation and saying how hearing from him is like hearing from Saraswati Thakur himself, and Saraswati Thakur said he's his spokesman, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is manifesting his higher conceptions through him, so many things. He said, from them, I understood more and more the greatness of Guru Maharaj. So, in many ways, but so when you would think, Mahaprabhu, he introduces Rupa Goswami to the devotees, and from one point of view, we can think, he needed an introduction? But he's doing that, and they're all assembled there. These are their pastimes. And then he's saying, oh, that's the introductory sloka to your drama. Please recite that. And tunde tam, narpita charim jira, tunde tanda vinimbitam, ritim bitanute, tundavali labdiye. So then, and they're like, oh, these are so wonderful. And they're seeing he has some certification from Mahaprabhu. So this will make everything they hear from him take on a different color. Guru Maharaj said, Saraswati Thakur said in the Brajamandal Parikrama, Guru should not be seen as sadhan siddha, but nitya siddha, who's descended from the upper world in this plane. Why? Sakshad Hari Tena Samasna Shastre. To be seen as Krishna. You can't think, well, when did he become Krishna? No, Krishna is Krishna. Krishna descended. Acharya mam vijaniyat navamanyeta karhichet. Saying, for the maximum development and growth of the disciple, I have to see Guru as Nitya Siddha. Full faith, even in the primary teacher. Full faith, that will yield the greatest amount of progress. But that will be achieved in different ways. Gurudev saying, oh, I heard when I saw how the God brothers praising and appreciating Guru Maharaj, that made my faith even greater. Okay? We thought, who could appreciate Prabhupada more than his disciples? Then we heard Guru Maharaj talk about him. And now it's commonly accepted, but Guru Maharaj revealed and declared him a Shakta Vaishnava. Now everyone will say it, but Guru Maharaj revealed that. Our faith got deeper. We were saying, oh, you're hearing from someone else, your faith will become that. No, our faith got deeper by hearing from him about the glories of Srila Prabhupada. So, and Guru Maharaj's praise of Srila Gurudev, and like that, Vaishnavas expressing appreciation for one another. Anything else?
So yes, a question from Vasudev Prabhu. My friend told me about Krishna consciousness, but he doesn't want to accept Guru or to start the spiritual practice himself, saying that if he doesn't satisfy his desires now, later they will distract him during the practice. Could you please comment on this?
Well, it's a reasonable proposal, but Narada told Vyas that it's better to go for it. He's saying Krishna consciousness is so valuable. While the opportunity is before you, you should make the attempt. And even if later you're distracted by unfulfilled desires or whatever it might be, he's saying, still, what you gained is irreplaceable. What's the other word? Meaning it can never be destroyed. Or something. Huh? Anyway, it can never be destroyed. It's permanent. And he's saying, and it's substantial. So even if during that brief period you gained 1%, 2%, that's with you permanently. Whereas even if someone goes back in the world again, they're basically just wasting their time. They're not accumulating or achieving anything of lasting value. And he further says, and not only that, but the taste of Krishna consciousness will always be haunting them. They'll be remembering that, and it will bring them back again. So really, while the opportunity is before you, you should take it. And, it's like a leap of faith. And let the consequences be what they may later. Bhakti Bichar Jajavar Maharaj was the last sannyas disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Saraswati Thakur wanted him to take sannyas, but there was some hesitation on his part, and he started taking the counsel of other godbrothers and saying, I don't know if I'll be able to maintain, and maybe later, like you say, the unfulfilled desires. And I believe he's a brahmachari up to this point, and different considerations, like similar to this. And then he came to Guru Maharaj, and then Guru Maharaj could understand that there was some difficulty here. He wasn't approaching Saraswati Thakur. Saraswati Thakur was suggesting he take sannyas, and he was hesitating. So Guru Maharaj went to Saraswati Thakur and told him what the situation is. He's taking counsel from them, and they're basically telling him, yes, that's a realistic, don't try to go too far, take too much, you have to factor in all of these different things. And Saraswati Thakur called him in and he said, by taking sannyas, he said, the spiritual world, that's the abhaya pad, the fearless world, like Vaikuntha, without anxiety. He's saying, that's where you will be taking shelter. He's saying, actually, this world you should be afraid of, and your time here, and these are famous last words, like, let me pursue I'll take up Krishna consciousness later. Good luck with that, right? Suddenly 25 years have gone by, if you're still alive, or more, and then dwindling capacity, everything. Read the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Amara Jivana, and others, where he's saying, I wasted my life doing this, that, and the other thing, and now at the fag end of my life, when my senses have lost their vitality, I'm in dwindling capacity, now I'm shamelessly trying to take shelter of you. That's still better than not. And that's not the case of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's portraying our position. But it's famous last words, and just the opposite should be true. Pursue Krishna consciousness now. And, your desires, I bet, they might be around later on some level. What Saraswati Thakur said on the Gaur Purnima time, that when the people were going home, and it was a time to say something, like, thank you for coming to the festival and have a safe journey and may Krishna bless you, something like that. And he started saying, don't cheat me. And they're like, what? Don't cheat me. And they're, wow. And he said, why did you come? You came for, what's brought us together is some mutual understanding of the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. And now you're going home. He's saying, I say that if your house, you get a message that says your house is on fire. This is Saraswati Thakur. He said, let it burn to the ground, because it's that house and everything in it that's keeping you bound in this world. Absent that, you could take full shelter. So if your house is on fire, let it burn the ground, but stay and dedicate yourself today. So Krishna, what does he tell Arjuna after so many possibilities are discussed? Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Take the leap of faith, surrender to me. And anything bad is gonna, you think, happen on the consequence, as a consequence of that, I'll take care of that. So just the opposite is true. This opportunity may not be there. That's what we said. Sangsaresman kanadopi satsanga sevadirninam. It's the most valuable treasure that you can possibly acquire in human existence. That opportunity is before you now. Don't delay in making the attempt for any reason. They're all tricks of Maya to distract one. It's better. Make the attempt, offer oneself, make the attempt to pursue Krishna consciousness. And if it's short-lived, still you got something infinitely more valuable than any sort of worldly accumulation. So, Guru Maharaj said, when Krishna and Arjuna is very intelligent, discussing in Bhagavad Gita, he's thinking, he puts it even more interesting way, Arjuna. He says that, what if I put my energy into the spiritual life and the culture of Krishna consciousness, but I don't achieve it? Or, a high level. And I could have put that energy into developing myself materially. So it seems like I lose out, it's not the best of both worlds, but the worst. Like, I didn't get Krishna consciousness and I didn't develop myself materially. It's, I'm twice a loser. And Krishna is saying, you have to understand the all-auspicious nature of the culture of Krishna consciousness. That, again, 1%, 2%, it's permanent. It will always be with you. Suchinam srimatam gehe yoga brashtu sanjayate, vijayate, sanjayate, birth. Saying, it can even continue into your next birth. Saying why someone is born in a family circumstance where at an early age they get the opportunity for spiritual culture. It's on account of their past position. Saying, but in summary, Guru Maharaj like to quote this line where it says, Nahi kalyan means auspicious. Nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim tatagachati. And Guru Maharaj rendered it in this way. He said, the sincere will emerge victorious. Sincerity is invincible. If we're sincere in our approach, then we'll be successful. So, and so to finish it, Jajavar Maharaj did follow that advice, and he accepted sannyas from Srila Saraswati Thakur and kept it his whole life, and had a beautiful mat in Mayapur, isn't it? I forget where it is. Oh, that's another Maharaj. I forget where Jajavar, but he had a mat in Bengal, and his favorite, one of Guru Maharaj's favorites, would come and visit Guru Maharaj every year for like a month or so, stay at the mat, get Guru Maharaj's association. Many talks Guru Maharaj was giving. Jajavar Maharaj had a great memory and knew so many slokas. And sometimes if Guru Maharaj couldn't think of a sloka, he'd turn to him and ask. Na he kasmad gurur jnanam. Something supushkulam. I remember that one from the Bhagavatam and others. He'd sit next to Guru Maharaj and go, what is that sloka? And he'd immediately present that. Hare Krishna. Akama, sarvakama va moksha kama udaradi, tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Sukadev saying in the second canto, whether you're akama, desireless, sarvakama, filled with desires, mokshakama, interested in liberation, whatever your position is, go to Krishna for that. And like Dhruva, if you achieve that, come in connection with Krishna, then Swamin Gitartosmi Baram Najache. He's saying, I was looking for broken, shards of glass, and I found the most valuable jewel. So we should never underestimate the power of Krishna and the mercy of Krishna. But Mahaprabhu told Das Goswami in the midst of, Aiswarja, Sama, Apsara, Stri Apsara Sama, opulence like Indra, the king of heaven, a wife like a supermodel from the heavenly planets. And Das Goswami wants to get freed from that. And what is told, Nityananda Prabhu, he's saying, Krishna's mercy is very powerful. But he's saying, but I think your mercy is even, greater. I need the mercy of the Vaishnava. He's saying, but by Krishna's mercy, anything is possible. So it's actually the answer to all of these questions. So if we think, well, when I assess myself, this is the conclusion I come to. Yes. So therefore, place your faith in the lotus feet of Guru and Vaishnava, Guru and Gauranga. Say, yes, by my own, likely to have some inauspicious outcome. Therefore, I'm offering myself to you. Please instruct me. Tell me, I don't know what to do, what's good for me, what's bad. I don't know these things. So I'm placing my faith in the advice of Guru and Vaishnava, Sadhu Shastra Guru and Vaishnava, and I'm going to earnestly proceed along those lines. And as Guru Maharaj said, and if you're sincere, you will emerge victorious, you will be successful. Sincerity is invincible. Hare Krishna.